Good morning, everybody. It is 11:11. Some people are into that. It's the morning time, and my name is Joshua Edwards. I'm the owner and founder of Shop Talk Quinty, a podcast where we talk about meaningful and informal conversations with entrepreneurs, professionals, and today I have here with us our newest team member to the OSM family. Fatima, Fatina, welcome. It's
Thank you so
awesome
much.
to have you on today.
Thank you for that. I've been getting a lot of warm welcomes, like from everyone at OSM and within the community. So I do appreciate that. Super excited to be on this podcast. Like I said, never really been on this side of the creative process of a podcast. So I'm super excited for this conversation.
I as well. So listen, let's jump right in here because I what I want to do today is I want the audience, the people that are going to be listening to this, to get to know you. You know what you're about, what makes you tick, all of that fun stuff. Really excited about some things that we're going to chat about today. But first and foremost, like kind of give people maybe the 411 on where you're from, what have you've been up to up until this point, and what are some neat things you got going on right now?
My name is Fatima Sirhindi. That's the first thing you should know about me. I'm from Mississauga, Ontario. I very recently moved to Belleville, Ontario. A very big change, but a very, I think, good and healthy change, especially during the time of quarantine and COVID. I graduated from McMaster University in 2019 with communications and film. And since my third year, I've been working very closely with social media. I've done a lot of work around social media coordination, communications. And I basically in my life saw iPhones come and, exist and Instagram be and turn into what it is today. Same with Facebook and, all the social media that you see. And that's what, sparked an interest in this field for me. And the biggest thing that I liked about it is how people can, react to social media and how you can influence others with social media and get messages across through, those mediums very fast. And it was very intriguing to me. So I kind of dug in deeper and I found a career that, in high school, I never even knew would have existed and it probably didn't. And now I love what I do and I have a passion for what I do. I took a little bit of time off to kind of find myself the last year or so, and I'm back with full spring into back into my career, back into my field, and I'm just excited to see where it takes us.
Love it, Fatima. I want to give the audience a sense of your pulse when it comes to marketing. Maybe you can speak a little bit to what are some things that excite you about marketing. What are some things that that you think of when you think about marketing and the impact that it has on you, people that experience it, the end consumer. I'm always thinking about them. What are some things that stand out to you from that standpoint?
I think a lot of marketing is about growth. We've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with many people time and time again that marketing is all about growth, whether that be for yourself or for your business, for your education. It's always pushing for some kind of growth within you. I've grown as a person studying the field that I do. I've seen people, grow complete mindsets. I've seen business go from 0 to 100 just, in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. And a lot of people, even CEOs of big corporations that I've worked with, had a big shift in growth in like what they thought they could do or what they thought certain things would be, and adapt to new ways and grow in a whole different way that they never thought would be possible. So marketing for me is if you sum it up, it's all about that kind of growth. And that's what I love about it. That's what drives me is I'm always trying to learn and I'm always trying to grow my experiences and my mindset, my just my overall self with what I do. And I think social media is a very good platform for that as well. As much as people say tune out, you should also tune in. Tune into the education that's available through TikTok, through Instagram, tune into the different ways people do the most basic things. And you learn a lot from, just observing. And I think a big part of our job is a lot of the observing about trends, about businesses, about people, and having that high reach, what you can do with the massive reach that you have, and how to, utilize it for your own growth and your business growth.
Totally agree. Fatima, I want to dig in a little bit on something you had mentioned about, to your point, this industry is always moving, always new things coming down the pipe, and things that are consumer focused, making sure that they get the best experience possible. What are some things that you're noticing in the marketing space, whether it be trends or actions, a form of execution in the marketing world, that you've seen make a great impact?
I think that with social media and the accessibility that people have to it, especially youth, and young people, I feel like it's a great platform to be heard now. There have been massive movements, whereas a lot of people used to be bystanders. There was the whole mean media theory, where you see too much on television, so you get scared of it. But now, with having it right at your fingertips, people have the ability to actually do something about it. And that entire mentality that I've had, or my parents had, or my grandparents had, of like, I'm just one person in 1,000 people and I'm just one number. It's not that no more. It's you could be a part of something bigger, and your tweets matter, your shares matter. People are watching, and you can tweet something at a company and they will actually get back to you, because your social reputation is a huge thing. Whereas, sometimes you'd be on the phone back in like 2004 or 5 and not be able to get what you needed. So that kind of, growth, that kind of marketing, that kind of trend is really cool for me to also understand. And, the youth are really into it now. And sometimes, um, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, because sometimes on social media, if you're, let's say you're a celebrity, right? If you do something wrong, you're not forgiven as easily. It's not overlooked as easily, because I guess people are always watching you. So
Cancel culture.
yeah, as free as you are, you also have to be twice as careful with your steps. And that's what, will get social, like that's what will get you with social media sometimes. And then in terms of trends, I think there's a lot of conversation you can have around trends. But right off the top of my head, I would say, trends are always changing. TikTok is a beautiful, beautiful platform of ever changing, fast trends, where people, can now copy each other, and where plagiarism was a thing on social media. Oh, you copied my platform, you copied my idea. It's actually now encouraged, and people want to see how you do the same thing in your own way, which is super cool. And I don't think I've seen that before in, my experience with social media. And that's why, I'm always pushing clients to get on TikTok. And a lot of what TikTok is doing right now is kind of speaking for what Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms is doing as well, because it's such a big thing, just like Vine was a big thing. And use it before it dies out, and get on those trends, get on those, those hashtags, those things that people are doing. That's what's kind of a little bit best for you right now.
Fatima, I love that you brought up, like, the trend on TikTok, where it's now, to your point, encouraged for people to copy one another. Let's see, how you can do the same action, but put your own spin on it. I've certainly appreciated that on the platform, myself as a consumer. And I think it also speaks to something that I've always believed, which is, there are very few things in life that didn't come from something that you can point to in history.
Yeah.
So, the thought of like somebody taking your idea and it's my idea, why are they taking it? Like, to me, it's like everything comes from something. I feel I come from the perspective of just being grateful that the idea came to me, or I was able to observe it, and now I can use it to my benefit. And if somebody copies something that's worked for me, case in point, if there's another agency in Belleville, maybe there already is, but that starts a podcast tomorrow consistently, like I've done, like that would excite me, because it's like, great, we have more agencies starting to do that type of thing, because it can be very beneficial for business development. So that's we bring this up to talk about also TikTok, which is a platform that you have spoken, very highly about as far as trends and things of that nature. We recently had a video that was inspired by you, because in the interview process, when we were chatting with you, the thing that came up after the fact was you were the only one that followed up. You're the only one that like sent a thank you email, something like just my opinion. Like, I think it's kind of like just like a standard thing that people should do, but like it's surprising how many people actually don't think to do it. And and it's something that is sometimes you have to be taught. It's not default, but for you in this particular time, it was. I want to ask one question to kind of get context for the audience. What made you want to follow up and with the thank you message in the first place? And then I want to talk about what happened on TikTok as a result of that from a content form.
So what made me want to follow up was, I think, the conversation. Um, we had a very deep conversation during the interview process. I believe that our interview actually went a little bit over our estimated time, just because we had we started talking about just more than the job. We started talking about our personal growth as well, and how that plays into what we like doing. And I think that with any field, if you talk to people that are very passionate about what they do, that's one thing that you're going to have in common. I've had this with things when I'm picking up stuff from Facebook Marketplace and I run into someone and they're into social media, or they're into, home renovations or whatever I'm doing at the time. That 5-minute pickup can turn into a 1-hour pickup. And that's, what happened during the interview process. And when the interview was done, I did have the thought, like everyone does at this time, that, maybe the thank you email wouldn't mean anything. Those are things that you're kind of taught as things in high school, just like a resume has to be a certain way. And then when you kind of get into working, you learn that resumes don't have to be that particular way. It's a template that's taught to you, and then you kind of have to feel as you go. And I'm going to be honest, for some companies, I haven't done thank you emails, and for some I have, but this one in particular, we had a personal conversation. And because this business is where I live, and it's a small business, and I felt like I was being heard a little bit more, and I wanted to follow up. And in the thank you email, I did include a picture of my puppy. And that wasn't to say, I have a puppy, hire me, look how cute. Because again, that's a trend that works on something like Tinder. You have a picture of your puppy, you're gonna be more likely to get X or Y number of likes or swipes. But this was more, we were having that conversation, and we brought up pets, and we're all pet friendly people. And, there was advice given to me about where to take my puppy around in the Belleville area. And because I said I would show my puppy, and then my puppy just decided to not be there today, I just thought, if I said, I would do something and we were enthusiastic about this topic, I would just include that as well. So it wasn't more, giving you some kind of emotional attachment to me because of my dog. It was more continuing that conversation and having that respect that, like, I said I would do something, and following through with it. And then the rest was on you guys. So for me, if I didn't get hired, I still cared for that relationship I built at the end of the day, knowing that, what I've learned from you, and maybe in the future, using you as a resource now that we've built that connection, rather than an employer. So that's the thought process I had there.
I'm so glad you said that, Fatima, and I can't wait to produce this on TikTok, because I think it's gonna give people a lot of context around what was said about appreciating the follow-up email, appreciating seeing your dog online, but a lot of people don't know kind of the story and the context behind that. So I'm super excited to share that, to provide context. But for people that are listening, and basically what happened is like one of our amazing team leaders, Rochelle, she put out a TikTok around the interview that we did with Fatima, and just talking about how she followed up. and she showed us a picture of her dog, and that was like super cool to see. And it kind of just fit with the conversation and the way that things were going. As you mentioned, Fatima, we talked more than just about the job description. Like, it kind of went beyond that. So that was certainly, a good way to go. And I didn't mind going over, because we're able to kind of hammer out some other things that were certainly important. But the video was the first one that we've ever done that went viral. So I kind of owe you a thank you, because you inspired that, Rochelle executed, and it, like, the amount of comments, and like it reached over 70,000.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's for me, it's also, there's a mix of people on TikTok. And if you look in the comments, it's a mix between people who were just taught that that's a standard thing to do, and people who were not taught that that's a standard thing to do, and employers that are like, that wouldn't influence my decision, whereas some employers are like, at the end of the day, my time is my money, and if I'm, giving you that time, I like when people say, thank you for that. And some employers also believe that thank you email shows that how you're going to be with clients in the future. So if you can follow up with me, I know that you can follow up with clients, and you respect that relationship. So there's a lot of mixed comments, but at the end of the day, my biggest thing is always having a feel for who you're talking to, and always trust your gut feeling of, what you feel like. The worst case scenario, they just ignore the email. But other than that, you've built that relationship. So always go for it. And I think we're always in that kind of mindset that interviews are such a formal thing, and you have to dress a certain way and speak so formally, where at the end of the day, at the core of it all, we're all people. And we're going through a very tough time. So as meaningful and personal, and communicate during your communicate during your interview as much as you can do that, that would really benefit you. And that's something that I learned the very hard way. And any job I've had a success of actually, getting, was because I've acknowledged that, the person on the other side is also like a human. They're a person. They want to get to know you. They don't just want to know your resume. They've read that. They're trying to get a feel for you. So just be honest and upfront, and ask the questions, and tell them the truth about what you do know and don't know, because that would actually make you more successful at the job as well, when you guys are honest about exactly what's being put on the table and how much of it you can do.
100%. It's so fascinating to me, that individuals think that, like, any decision made in business has absolutely nothing to do with emotion. The audacity. It's like every decision is influenced by emotion and rationalized with logic. Like, and it's so interesting to me, because it's like, 2 + 2 = 4. So, a person's going to go with 4 because they're like, it just makes sense. But they're not realizing that the emotional side is also leading them towards that decision, because it's safe. It makes sense. Anything that makes sense feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that part.
Yeah, it's like, that's why interviews exist. Because if you were just going to be no emotion towards your employee, why couldn't you just look at their LinkedIn profile or their resume and be like, okay, they have all the credentials, you're hired? You do that interview process
Exactly.
because you want to see if they're a fit for, your brand, if they can speak to you, if they can adjust, if they can observe, if they can do the things that you need them to do, and be the way that you need them to be, or even learn. If there's someone that's not quite there yet, even high school graduates, university graduates, if you can sense that, they're willing to learn, they're willing to kind of, step up and take that initiative, you're going to hire them. But that's emotion. That's an emotional response that you're going to have to it. It's not emotional the way that people think it is. You're not senti about it. You're not, you're not being whatever. It's the emotion's a professional emotion, and we all have it. You make those professionally emotional decisions. And that, I think that was taken out of context in that TikTok as well. And I just looked at, and it's okay. We all live and we all learn.
And by the way, Fatima, the other way around as well, right? Like, back to your point of, why do interviews exist? Not just for the employer to check out, the potential employee, but the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, is this a culture that makes sense for your personality and the things that you want out of a career and a work environment? Like, so I totally think that emotion has everything to do with decision making, and that's not a bad thing. It should be embraced. It shouldn't be overkill, but it does play a factor. I want to jump to something quickly here with you, and just around you're obviously huge on social. You had mentioned to me when we were chatting a little bit, one of the number one things that you think is missing in like strategies on social, and that was engagement. Talk to me, take the next few minutes, talk to me a little bit about, what you're finding people are missing out on, and maybe even any tips or tricks that you would share to kind of give people a sense of the framework you want to set for that type of conversation.
So I did say that, and I said that because I've moved from working in larger corporate, bigger businesses to working with a lot of smaller businesses during COVID. That break I took, I worked with a lot of my friends and a lot of my friends' friends that had small businesses, and they did recognize they need now a social media platform and they need to be present. Because if you're not online in 2020, 2021, and going forward, you're basically not going to be as successful as you have the potential of being. So that recognition, step number one, they had, and I think a lot of people at this time, they're so focused on getting the content out. They're so focused on looking good. They're so focused on X, Y, or Z number of things, but that one thing that they're forgetting is you can be someone that posts 2 or 3 times a week. You don't have to post every day. But if you have 10 followers that are your loyal followers that are not your family, because your family, if they're hyping you, that's that's there for you. But if you have 10 followers and you're always engaging with them, those are 10 for sure sales. Those are 10 for sure numbers. Those are 10 for sure engagements, versus if you have 13, 14,000 followers, you're posting whatever number of times a month, you're posting 90 to 100 times or more, but you're not really talking to your followers. You're not following up on those emails. You're not doing that customer service end. You can have all those followers, but it won't transition into your sales and the numbers you want to see, because either people are getting upset and spreading the news about you not getting back to them, or they feel like they're not being heard. So people, I think there's a mix that you have to kind of research, test, hypothesize, and for every single brand is different. The numbers are different for every brand. But that engagement aspect of it is the consistent part of social media, that you have to get on, you have to engage with your followers, get back to those comments, do your part. And if you don't have the budget, there's a lot of interns that are willing to be there, that you can ask someone that's studying communications, that's looking to social media, just do engagement for me, talk to my followers, here's what my brand is about. And that's the missing piece I'm finding that a lot of people are having, because they're so focused on the look and the output and the quantity, but they're not speaking to the people, and they're not speaking to everyone who's online. And you may not even have a storefront anymore, so how are you going to have that human, that interaction anymore? And that's how it is. You have that engagement online. So that's what I find is the most important thing that's been missing, and you really need to hype it up now.
It's super key. You are 100% correct, and I'll add to that by also saying, when it comes the thing that I see, and I just think, oh my goodness, when somebody posts something that is very, very contextual, speaks to me, and I go to leave a comment, but before I do, I look and see that there's all of these different comments, and I'm like, oh, sweet, they're getting a lot of people engaging with them. Mm-hmm. And there's no responses to those comments. It's just comments. And it's like, well, I'm not going to leave you a comment. You're not even going to, you know what I mean? If it's an account, I get it. There's some huge accounts where it's there's 500 people. You only have so much time in a day. But when you got like 10 people commenting on your stuff and you can't be bothered to go back and, and then it's funny because the post is about engagement.
Yeah.
You have people commenting and then there's no response. And I'm like, are you serious? Ah.
Yeah. I think people that are learning about social media now, they get very lost in the terminology, because I know that coming out of university, I did a lot of work around social media, but there's not a lot of terminology I knew. Like, I didn't know what niche was. Like, I knew what it was, but I didn't know exactly the word for it. I knew what a call to action caption was, but I didn't know the word for it. But one of the and I knew you have to have a variety of posts. You can't just do like product posts all the time. You also have to have, like you said, engagement posts. But the thing I was missing, and that's why I say it's a key thing with a lot of my clients that I had in the past, was the the engagement factor. You can't tell people, have that engagement post, have it about mental health, or have it about engaging, or how to get more likes or more posts, or and then just, you're right, like, not say anything underneath. And a lot of them are, talking to your photo, or they want more information on there. So give them that little piece, or even just the heart, even like an emoji. It goes a long way. It shows people that you're there, you're listening, you're maybe not, the 2-3 word, and we can go so deep into algorithms with like the amount of words. But that it, to the very basic level, respond to your followers. And if it takes that thing out of you where you have to get out from doing 10 posts a week to maybe like 4, so you can up your engagement, then do that,
Yes.
because that will give you a lot more, it will be more beneficial to you in the long run.
But 1000%. And here's something I want to debunk, because to your point, Fatima, a lot of what you just were talking about was about being intentional. And one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, with being active on social is the time suck that people think it is. But the reality is, you do one photo shoot and have 100 photos for the next 2, 3 months, whatever. And you have your content planned out, and you you do it in a way where, like, my point being is that you can do this and it doesn't have to take you a whole lot of time.
No.
You could go on your explore page on Instagram right now, type in the industry that you're trying to get as a client, find the top accounts that come up in that explore page under that industry, add value under their posts, and that takes all of 5 minutes. But people are scrolling for hours and hours, and they're like, it's just too much time. I can't do, like, if you're intentional, it shouldn't take long to do. Your thoughts?
Oh, there we are back.
Oh,
You
there
froze
we
up
go.
for me.
My internet went out there for a second.
That's okay. It's the beauty of virtual homework. It's okay. We all get it.
It is. Where did you hear me last?
Adding value.
Yeah. So the piece I'll end off with that is like, yeah, you can go to your explore page, find like the top people in your industry that you're trying to get, add value to their page, and that can take you all of 5 minutes. One of the biggest things I hear when people join our coffee and marketing chats, or anything that I'm a part of, Network BOQ, is like they don't have the time. They don't have the time to focus on social at all. So what I'm trying to help entrepreneurs, business owners do is just get more intentional with the time that they do spend on social. You
Yeah.
can get away with spending 5 minutes a day commenting on somebody's post. You just one post a day.
I think that no one really questions it. When you go into having your own business, or you need your own page, I think it's just a big change for people most of the time. And then they see all these successful accounts, and a lot of the time it's intimidating for them because this person's already successful with their followers. They have all this stuff, they have all these posts. Like, how do I get there? And it seems like a big jump that they can't make. But you know that for me, I always tell people, and I always tell, you know, people that I also work with, it could be a lot of work for the first month or two because you're creating your content, you're gathering your content, you have to make those graphics. And there's a big thing on different things that people will tell you that you do need colors for your page or you don't need colors for your page. Like, there's a whole, you know, you can go either way with that. But for me, it's taking that, you know, if you start up, let's say I start up today, you need to give yourself that 1 month of time, how many ever hours, to get your content library, get everything organized, make everything organized for yourself. And once you're organized, it'll seem less intimidating. Like, even if you just make folders for everything and you have nothing in them, that will, you know, take you a long way, because at least from there you kind of have a path. And then you have to do, like you said, 1 or 2 photo shoots. Just do 1 photo shoot a season and take that and mix it in with your engaging content. And no one said that you can't repost from other accounts and grab photos from other accounts. That's what Instagram, TikTok, and everything's all about. So, you know, in one day, you can see a lot of influencers, if you really watch what they're doing during quarantine and COVID time, is that they're bringing back content they never posted from a year ago, from 2 years ago. Why? Because they mass create. Like, if they had, you know, the energy one day, they made 15 different videos, but in that 1 year, they only posted like 5 of them. And that's the key. And then you have to question beyond that, like brands like yours or brands that I've worked with, companies, how do they manage 15, 20, 30, 40, 100 clients? It's because we do that, you know, that initial work with our clients, we do initial work with people. It can be very tedious, but then from then on, once we know what you're talking about, you know, your branding, you know what you want to push, it's a matter of maybe like 2 hours, max 2 hours, 3 hours for you to plan out 1 or 2 months of content. And then you can take the rest of the month just doing all that engagement that we're talking about. So anytime you're on your phone, your post can be automated going out. Or if you're not someone that does automation, you can just do it manually. Put it on, you know, one of those Google calendars and drop the photo, drop the caption, be like, this is what I'm going to post that day. It's 5 minutes, and then take another 5 minutes liking people's things, commenting on those photos. Like, it's just that. Like, it's not, people think it's harder than that, but when they ask me what I do, like, it's just that, but times so many people. That's why it takes us, you know, 40 hours a week. It's not that we have one client for 40 hours a week. If you had one client for 40 hours a week, I don't even know like what I would be doing there. I've worked like that before, but it's, you start doing a bunch of other things. You go beyond being a social media coordinator. You know, you can turn into your own brand, but that's the key there, is that it's not as intimidating an organization and the content piece. Just work on it at the start. Work on, even if you know you're a pre-existing company. Let's say you didn't have the content, or you don't think you look the way you want to look anymore. Just take that 1 week or 2 weeks. Like, if you have more family time or whatever restrictions are helping you, it can take you even 2 months, but just do it. And I promise you, the rest of your time will be so easy. Even if you need to rebrand, because you have that organization down, it's a matter of just changing those colors, or just changing the language, or just updating how you're, you know, doing your captions. And it gets so much easier after that. And eventually, if you look at Instagram influencers, they're not even doing captions the way that we research and do captions and hashtags. They're literally just like, hey family, what's up? It's Monday, and like viral, you know?
I love this, Fatima. What you just said is 100% being post produced and put on like an engagement page on our website. Like that, very, very well articulated. And you're right. Like, the prep work and the organization up front can really set the bar and the ease for what you do later. So I love how you brought that up. We are out of time. Fatima, I'm so grateful for the time that you're able to take to chat today. Super, super excited for the wisdom and knowledge that you're bringing to our team. And yeah, just happy to have you here. It's a blessing. So thank you so much for sharing today. I'm excited to hear you share more as we continue on. Yeah, super grateful for the time to chat. So thank you very much.
No worries, and I'm grateful to be here, and I can't wait to do another one of these. I know there's a bunch of topics that you wanted to cover, but yeah, we will get back into this, and it's something that I don't mind talking about for hours and hours, and I'm sure you can do it as well. So yeah, I look forward to more of these, and I look forward to how people engage with me through this, and then my I like to say my DMs are always open, but that always gets misinterpreted. But for people looking for advice, like my inbox is always open. It's the open door policy for me, and I whatever resources I have, I'm happy to provide for anyone who's there. So that's people in Belleville and Mississauga, whoever hears this, it's that whole stretch. I'm all there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Fatima. Appreciate you.
All right, have a nice one.
You too.